Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Hey, it's spring. Spring has sprung. Flowers are blooming. All kinds of good things are happening, and you are making your decisions about your college programs. It is very, very exciting. This is for our sophomores and our juniors, or if you're taking a gap year, for our seniors as well. It's one of my favorite programs, the University of Central Florida, and Earl Weaver, the coordinator of the musical theater program, has been so generous to donate his time to hang out with us. Um, Earl, would you mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about how you came to the school?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being with us. I'm the coordinator of musical theater. I'm an associate professor of musical theater and dance at UCF. I joined UCF in 2003, so I'm in my 18th year of working at the university and have been working as a musical theater specialist in that area. And I've been the coordinator of the program for about 12 of those 18 years. We have an undergrad and a graduate program in musical theater, so I coordinate both of those.
That's great. So I was doing some stalking on your social media before you came on, just so I could prepare. We have worked at the same dinner theater, although separated by a couple of years. We trotted the same boards. Isn't that wild?
Yes, we did. I know. See, I say it all the time. The theater world is this big. 5 minutes in a room talking to theater people, and you're going to find out that you know somebody or you have some shared experiences. Yeah, that was so fun and exciting to learn that you worked at the Curtain Call Dinner Theater.
I know this world is so small. On
Yeah.
cruise lines in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, I'll meet someone in my cast and I'll be like, "Oh, you've worked at this theater. Me too."
Yeah,
It's so funny. Um,
absolutely.
so we have a lot of students who look at UCF, and
Mhm.
one of the Frank Cardillo says UCF 98. Woohoo!
Yay! Woohoo!
So we have a lot of students who want to know more about the program, especially that first year.
Sure.
So what are the performing opportunities like for undergraduates, especially freshman year?
Freshmen start right away. So our BFA musical theater majors are actually required to audition for our main stage productions every semester. And
Wow.
that starts the day you arrive as a new student. So you start performing as soon as you get there, and you're performing all through the whole 4 years. So we have that in place, and all the students audition. What we do is each semester we have auditions for the shows for that semester, and all the students audition. If you're a BFA acting or a BFA musical theater major, you're required to audition. The auditions are actually open, though, to any UCF student at the university. So students come and they audition, and you get cast accordingly. We have a lot of musical theater majors who are cast in the straight plays, and we have a lot of acting majors who are in the musicals. We don't cast students according to class, according to major. The directors watch everybody. We get in the room, we slug it out, we get who we want, and there you go. It's a great. You don't have to sit around and wait, till you finish so many classes before. Now we throw you in the piranha pit right away. And we run our auditions like professional auditions. So everybody comes in, the standard is set, and we do that, one, to right away start to provide a real world audition experience, but also to keep everybody on their game. So
Yes.
nobody really cares if you're a senior and you think you deserve the lead role. Well, if you're not prepared, you're not going to get it. And that brand new freshman was, and well, that's the way it is. So it's kind of great. It's really great for
Yeah.
the students because it affords an opportunity for everybody right from the beginning. And then if you don't get cast in a specific semester, you certainly are encouraged to go and audition off campus. We have many, many community theaters around, and of course, we're in the land of theme parks. So hopefully, when shows start coming back to the theme parks, they'll start hiring people again. So students, can go out and audition off campus as long as they don't have any conflicts with classes or commitments to school. So that is
Wow.
another possibility. Yeah.
I just want to say this again. This is one of the things that really gets in the way of students and their programs. And you just cleared out two major hurdles. One, you can be in shows starting first semester of freshman year.
Yes.
One. Two, you can audition for off-campus projects and not like be made to feel guilty about it. This
Yes,
is
absolutely.
great. Like
Yeah.
we were talking about that the other day. The BFA that my girlfriend graduated from was like a you do everything by the book, and the idea was you can't audition for off-campus projects because it might get in the way of classes. And I understand that, but I always thought like, well, why don't I look at the schedule of the shows, and if it doesn't conflict with classes and conflict with my responsibilities to the university, who cares?
Right.
And I think that you have taken that into account, and that serves both the school and the student. I think that's so cool.
Well,
Um,
we also try to encourage that too, if students are available and they have free time, because
yeah,
one, it gives you an outside professional experience.
yeah,
Because in our program, when students get to their senior year, we actually have a built-in required professional internship. So they actually have to go out and get a job and perform and get paid to meet that internship requirement. So, you know, if you have an opportunity before you even get to that point to get out, get some professional credits, get
yes.
that experience, then it gives you a little bit of a step ahead when you are in that audition cycle to try to get hired for that summer stock job.
Love that.
Yeah.
So speaking of the BFA,
Mhm.
can you talk me through the curriculum a little bit in terms of like, how are we taking dance and voice and acting every semester? How's it laid out?
Yeah, our curriculum is it's pretty intensive. It's really the BFA is really set up as a performance oriented professional practice program is what we call it. So our students take 6 semesters of acting. They take 8 semesters of voice. They have a year of ballet, a year of jazz, and a semester of tap that's required. Most of our students take as much dance as they can fit into their
Awesome.
curriculum.
That's great.
Um, Students take music theory, they take piano, and then, you know, a sort of a whole list of what we call the book classes. So they'll have theater history and musical theater history, stagecraft class, script analysis, introduction to theater, directing, makeup, a theater careers class.
Cool.
And then our students do what we call participation courses. So every theater major, no matter what your focus, is required to do a backstage assignment, and that can be working on a crew or working in one of our shops. And then every student's required to do a front of house experience, so either ushering or working in the box office. And then as a musical theater major, you're required to get cast at least once. Um, and
Okay.
we say up front, we don't ever guarantee casting. Now, having said that, we also work really closely to monitor to make sure students
Yeah.
are getting cast, because we're also accredited through the National Association of Schools of Theaters. And within that accreditation process, one of the requirements is that students graduating from our program have a minimum of 2 on-stage experiences. So, you know, I'm always taking that into account when casting comes, and I monitor that to make sure students are getting equal opportunities. And it's not the same 5 students getting cast every semester and
Sure.
people getting left out.
You mentioned at the top the graduate program in musical theater. Are the graduate students guaranteed casting in the shows?
Our graduate program is not an MFA. It's actually an MA.
Okay.
It's actually a distance learning online program.
Okay.
It's more of a liberal arts pedagogical program. It's was created to sort of be focused on teaching artists and teachers in secondary ed who are looking
Cool.
to come back to get a graduate degree or to get some more training. So that program is really not focused on performance at all. And actually those students, those classes are during the summer. And then during the school year, they do practical application projects where they're teaching. And so it's more of a teacher teaching teacher kind of graduate
Yeah.
program. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Great. Um, So we talked about auditioning for outside shows. Oh, this is a great time to talk about this. I mean, you're in Florida, which is like can be a melting pot of all kinds of different people. So can we talk about inclusion and diversity? I'm also really interested in about like body type and body size inclusion because I have come across some schools that are really bad about it and really great about it. So can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's one of the strongest things that kind of drew me to UCF when I interviewed for the job. So both the university and our School of Performing Arts and Theater Department have a strong commitment to diversity and inclusion and equitability, and it's one of our big founding goals. And it's really a strong point of focus for us when we're recruiting students.
Cool.
I am looking for every shape, size, color, gender, a student who is talented.
Yeah.
And we really look for a broad range of students to bring into the program. It doesn't serve me well to bring in, 7 blonde sopranos.
Right.
Well, first of all, I need a diverse group of students to cast in shows.
Yeah.
And then those 7 blonde sopranos are just competing against each other, and then nobody
Right.
gets cast. So we take 16, we take 8 men, 8 women. That's part of the accreditation guidelines for us. And so, we really want a broad range of musical talents, physical look, type, shape, color,
Yeah.
everything.
Awesome.
It only adds to our department and our experience and experience with our students if we are coming together as a really broad cultural community with a lot of experiences and a lot of background and a lot of good stuff to share with each other. So yeah, it doesn't serve us really well to sort of lock in. This
Yeah.
is what we want.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. Um, okay, so this is a question I get a lot, and I don't quite have an answer to it, so I'm excited to get it from you.
Sure.
So, in the scary parent theater groups on Facebook, UCF is labeled a cut program. What does that mean?
Well, I'm curious about that because I've heard that before, and I will say defiantly, we are not, capital letters, we are not a cut program. So a cut program is we're going to bring in 20 students the first semester, and then by the end of the first semester, we're going to cut down to 12.
Right.
So that's what a cut system is. No,
Right.
we do not do that. We bring in 16. We want 16 to go through all 4 years. We want all 16 to graduate. So
Yes.
we don't bring in 16 planning to cut down. We don't bring in 20 planning to cut down to 16. What we do is with our students, we do end of semester evaluations with them. And really all that is, students come in with their faculty and we talk about their progress. And we talk about those kinds of things, but we don't cut. We don't get rid of students. And I will tell you personally, I have so many ethical problems with that kind of a program because I think
Yes.
it's really not a good situation to be in, to bring a student in and then for the student to be spending 15, 16 weeks of a semester like this, worrying about, am I going to
Yes.
make it? Am I going to make it? Am I make it? Well, then I don't get the best from that student because all they're doing is worrying about whether they're going to make it through or not. So,
Exactly. Yeah, for
yeah,
that first semester, that first year, in some programs, the first 2 years,
yeah,
they're just wondering if they're going to graduate with the degree that they signed up for.
yeah. And some students, it takes until the sophomore year to figure it out and get it going. And I always say to musical theater students, they're always so impatient. It's like, well, you're training in acting and dance and singing and piano, and you're
Right.
doing a lot of things. It's not like you're doing one thing.
Right.
So the freshman year is always an adjustment period because depending on what kind of high school program you've been involved in.
Yes.
Now, most of the students we get come from pretty active high school programs, so they're pretty used to the rigor and the challenges,
Yeah.
but it's still an adjustment. The academic expectations suddenly bump up. So
Yes.
there's that adjustment. And so, that alone. And then, it's the best of the best from a bunch of different schools, and now you're in with new people and just new
Yeah,
territory. And
yeah,
so, the freshman year is always an adjustment period.
of
And
course.
then just, depending on where you are in your own personal growth, it happens faster for some students than other, but some students, it takes until the end of the sophomore year for it to all click in. And then, wow, then they're off and running and they're ready to go. So
Yeah,
yeah, doing a cut system really kind of denies both us and the student a chance to grow together,
I
um,
agree.
and to see where they're developing and how to help them develop better.
I agree. I think, honest to goodness, I think it's a lazy approach to make cuts. I think the better approach is like to work individually with a student and say, how
Yeah,
can I help you develop and grow as an artist? You
yeah.
know?
And
Um,
I just find it ethically wrong to take money, that much money to go to school from a student, and then after 15 weeks say, okay, sorry, bye. And then they've
yeah,
lost all that money investment. That's, I just have a problem with that. But that's my own
absolutely.
personal belief.
No,
So
no. Hey, we're on the same page. We are in that period of time where all the seniors are looking at all their options and they are sending letters to all their waitlisted schools, and then they're also sending appeal letters to their schools that didn't give them the money they need to attend. Does the School of Performing Arts have any money to give to students for talent scholarships?
unfortunately, at UCF, we have very little
Yeah,
because we're a state funded school. So the money we get goes from year to year, depending on the state budget.
yeah,
So what we do have in the theater department is we usually get a chunk of money from the state each year for out of state tuition waivers. And basically, how that gets handled is every out of state student who gets accepted into our department, no matter what their degree program, they all go into a pot, and then whatever the amount we get gets divided up amongst those students.
well, that's
So
cool.
it's around $1,500 a year is what it's been averaging.
Yeah, yeah.
um, so so it's a little bit, it's not a lot, it helps a little bit. And then we have been, they keep cutting the amount of money, but
Yeah.
then we usually get a chunk of money for talent grants
Okay.
each year too. And then that money gets divided amongst the different areas. And then I'm told you have these 3 talent grants and it's this much money, who do you want to give it to? We
Right.
usually try to prioritize out of state students,
Yeah.
but that is solely based on talent. That's not based on anything else.
Yeah.
And then once a student is in our program for a year, we have some privately funded,
Oh,
I
wow.
think we have 4 privately funded musical theater scholarships that are like $250, $500. They're
Cool.
one-time scholarships that they can apply for every year after
That's
they've
great.
completed a year in the program. So most of the financial aid comes through the regular FAFSA
Yeah.
application financial aid process
Yeah.
through the university.
Right.
And we keep trying to make them understand you can't keep taking scholarship money away. Students need assistantship,
Yes.
and of course it's always the poor students who get caught in the middle, and that they can't really afford it, but the parents have made too much, and then what do I do? But I really want to go to this school. And
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
hard for everybody.
Yeah. I
And
know.
I can tell you, I don't think we have a single student in our musical theater program that still doesn't work part-time, at least.
I imagine,
Yeah.
that makes a ton of sense. I have to explain to families, because I had to learn the hard way, is that, these performing arts departments aren't the big money makers for the schools the same way that UCF's football program is. Like that,
Right.
that's the big money maker. So like, of course they have a little more money. You know, when you're majoring in jazz hands, there's not quite as much
Yeah.
cash to throw around.
Exactly. And a
Um,
lot of, a lot of the departments at UCF, their scholarship money comes from private donors.
that's
So
cool.
that's another reality is, people with a lot of money tend to give more towards sciences than they do to, a
Yeah.
theater department. So, but we're
Hey,
working on that.
thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad. Is there any kind of like a showcase for industry folks in Orlando at the end of
Yeah, what we do in musical theater is we don't do a senior showcase. We don't take the students to New York
Yeah.
and do that kind of showcase. We sort of do our own internal showcase.
Yeah.
Um, because we have the built-in internship, that sort of allows our students to have that professional experience. But what we do is in their last semester of voice, we call it their dream roles semester. And
Oh,
basically
wow.
what the seniors do is in that last semester is they choose a dream role that they want to play. And they work on sort of a 15-minute
Huh.
mini version of that role. So they work on songs and scenes, and they collaborate with each other, and all the classmates perform with each other. And then we do a final exam presentation, basically. And for that presentation, we invite industry professionals to come. And Michael Casera, who's the casting director in New York,
Yeah.
comes and visits us every year. He's been doing it for I don't even know how many years now. And he'll do master classes with the students,
Cool.
and he'll watch the presentations and then actually audition seniors he's interested in, who might be interested. But we also invite all the local casting agents. There's a lot of casting companies here, of course, the parks,
Right.
the professional theater companies around there. We're kind of lucky in that we've been working on this for so many years now. We actually now have casting people in LA and Chicago and Atlanta and New York who we try to live stream the event,
Oh, cool.
who then log in and live stream, and we send them headshot resume information. And so if they can't be here in person, we have accessibility for them to see our students.
I love
So
that.
that's what we do for the musical theater majors.
I love that. I
Yeah.
talk about that a lot to folks who ask about the senior showcase. I think senior showcase is cool. Like, don't get me wrong, like
Yeah.
going to New York and performing off Broadway is awesome. But the goal that's built into that senior showcase mentally is like, I'm gonna get an agent and then I'll be on Broadway. But
Right.
there's like 10 maybes between the senior showcase and booking the show. Like,
Yeah.
maybe an
Right.
agent shows up, maybe she likes you, maybe she gets you in the room. I like the UCF approach of like, hey, just skip all the maybes and get the job. Hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, get those credits on your resume, get that experience on your resume. I mean, the nice thing is, we've developed this relationship with Michael Casera, and he has hired many of our graduates once they've moved to New York. Plus, he's also hooked our students up with friends of his who are casting agents as well.
Cool.
So, many of our students, the ones who decide to move to New York, if he's been very lovely and has stayed connected with them and has gotten them work, and they've networked and gotten agents that way. So it's been a wonderful relationship for us. And then it's also developed this amazing alumni network for us in New York, of students who now are, oh, you're coming to New York? Let me know. Alumni
That's
hosting
cool.
students, going up, students who've been in Broadway shows, taking the kids backstage and doing tours, and, making those kind of connections before, the current student even graduates. They've already made alumni connections in that area.
I love that kind of peer support.
Yeah, it's great. Our alumni are, I can't say enough about our alumni. They are so loving, so giving, so available. They make themselves available. They give back. They do master classes. Of course, in the world of Zoom, it's been sort of one of the good things with Zoom, because we've been able to Zoom in a lot of students who, physically couldn't come, but they've been able to pop on and go, yeah, let's talk. And
oh, how cool.
Yeah.
Lori Cromer asks, can you double major or minor with the BFA?
It's easiest to minor. It's difficult to double major. Now, we have some students who are doing it. So the way to make it easier is if you are doing dual enrollment, or if you are transferring to UCF. If you're doing high school and dual enrollment and getting those gen eds done, then that opens up a whole lot of time. So what happens is, our major is front loaded. It's actually heavier in the first 2 years, and then it lightens up in the junior and senior year. So what happens is students who need to be full-time for financial aid reasons and insurance reasons, those are the students then, they have their gen eds done, and so they'll pick up a minor. Or now some students, I actually have two students now, they did so much dual enrollment, they actually almost completed their other major. So when they got here, so we have one student, she's doing musical theater and a psychology double major. So
Wow.
she's actually been able to do that, and also by taking classes during summer. So she primarily does her psych classes during summer. So she will end up with a double major. It gets tricky in the state of Florida in that the state has a cap on the number of credits you can complete before you start getting charged extra money. So it's not impossible to do. We just have to make sure that when you start at UCF, your advisor knows this is my plan, so you can map it out to make sure you don't get to a point where all of a sudden it's like, they're going to start charging me $6,000 extra fees.
Yeah, right.
But yes, it can be done. Primarily in our department, our BA Theater Studies program is the degree that's set up for those who want to double major. That and the BA guarantees that you get that double major done in 4 years. That's the other thing with the BFA. It may take you an extra year to finish the second major if you go that route.
Yeah, and you know what? That is more common than you would think with big beefy BFA programs. We all think of the University of Michigan rightfully as like the big bad King Kong for BFAs, but they allow you to double major. It just takes you 5 years. And that's fairly common. So if you can take classes at the community college and knock out some of your gen eds, my gosh, do it.
That's really the way, especially if you're a sophomore, junior now, even a freshman now, and it's not too early to start thinking about that. And if you have that, that's a really easy way. And if you have a local community college that's inexpensive and not a big university, that's even better.
And California's community colleges are like close to free. I'm in California, so like y'all take advantage of that. And like I have to say, I remember in high school, I couldn't take all the talking in my high school classes, being like, shut up, shut up, shut up. Guess what? You don't get that at the community college level because your professors can just ask you to leave, and that's great. So like you'll learn so much more in your gen ed at community college.
Well, and now in the world of online learning, there are so many opportunities now for students to be able to crank out those classes, especially during summer, because even at UCF during summer session, the majority of our classes are online. So it's really great for theater students because they can be off working a summer stock gig and be doing their math class online and get it done at the same time. So,
on that internship note, are students able to attend things like Straw Hat to like get that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Oh yeah, we're very, very active. Our students are very active in SETC and NETC, the Midwest auditions, Straw Hats, A1s. They participate in all those regional auditions. And of course now, the world of video submissions. We train our students in video submissions so that, they all are putting their reels and things together. But those are the main sources of how our students find their summer stock jobs. And then what a lot of the students do is if they start working at the parks, when they're a student, the good thing is we have a relationship with all the theme parks, and they will never hire one of our students full-time as long as they know you're in school. So they will only hire you as part-time, seasonal, whatever.
Wow.
Well, what's great for that is students will work that way freshman, sophomore, junior year. And then when it's time to do their internship, then they just pick up more hours during the summer. And then, so they're not having to worry. They've already got a built-in internship. So that's the nice thing for them.
Sorry, are there any union issues if a student books like the Festival of the Lion King or like Finding Nemo?
No, and actually, if you're a student at UCF and you are a member of Actors Equity, you actually can work non-union. Now, the thing with many of those Disney shows, we'll see how it happens now. They were equity contracts. So those students who were equity could pick up an equity contract. But the good thing in Florida is Florida's a right to work state. And so what happens for a lot of our students who got cast in those shows is some of them would get cast in those equity line roles, but they were non-union.
Right.
And because it's Florida, you're not forced to take your unicard. So they were making the $16 an hour equity pay and still being non-union. Um,
Oh, and that way they could still do a good deal of non-union work.
yeah,
That's great.
exactly,
I
exactly.
oh, I like that a lot.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's the same thing for students if they're in their union. They don't have to worry about being cast in our shows because their educational projects link to a class. So, like I'm a union member, so as a faculty member, if I do a show at the university, I actually have to write to
Right.
equity and to get permission to perform. But the thing is, my contract as a faculty member ends up being more money than I would get as a guest artist contract. So it's never an issue. Students don't have to go through that process
That's
because
great.
it's part of your class.
Oh,
So
that's really neat. That wow,
yeah,
that what a best of both worlds. I just love
yeah.
that.
And then we
Um,
have a lot of students who are in SAG-AFTRA, and they have
sure.
actually gotten their cards through local contracts and local. There's a lot of agencies in town who do film and TV, commercial and print work. So that's also another option as well.
Um, I I joined the union, Actors Equity in 2020. So I moved to New York City, and I was like, I want to be an actor. And so I go into Actors Equity, and it was like the first week of March. I'm like, I'm gonna take my equity card, and a week later, like, cool, no more theater.
No more
No.
theater. Oh no. Yeah, it's been rough. It's been rough. Yeah, a lot of our recent grads, same thing. They
Yeah.
graduated, they
Oh,
got to the city,
sure.
they were ready to go, and then yeah, it's been tough for everybody.
So I have learned so much, and I've always loved the program, and now I know more things to love about the program. Is there anything that I haven't asked you about that you feel is important that we share with potential students?
I will just share, if you go to our department website, it's www.theater, THEARTRE
Yeah.
.ucf.edu. You'll find the department website, and we have all of our information about all of our programs, about audition requirements, about how to audition, how to interview. You'll see there's different listings of curriculum and classes that are offered. You'll see all the faculty bios. That's one thing I always want to try to encourage students. Read the bios of the faculty where you want to study. I think
Yeah.
it's really important, and a lot of students I don't think spend enough time doing that. Is spend some time as you're doing your research, learn about who you're going to study with. There's some amazing people at universities around the world. So, but I think it's important for people to understand who you're going to be working with, and what's their background. And because even many of my students who've been working with me have no idea what my resume says. But I always say to students, your best tool is research, research, research. Do your research. Really look at the schools. We are a huge, gigantic school. I was telling Drew, we have 68,000 students now. We are a very large university. That's also important. Are you a big school person? Are you a smaller school person? When we were able to have students on campus to visit, it's a big key is if you can get to those schools, try to spend some time, try to hang out, try to talk to the students. Because I've had students come and go, whoa, no, this is too much. And then I've had other students, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for. It's a lot of money that you're investing in
Yeah.
school. And I always say to students, if you don't feel at home, probably not the right school for you.
Yeah.
There are a lot of really good schools and really good programs. And you just have to be honest with yourself and really know that this is where I feel like I belong, because I think that's the most crucial thing.
Yes.
Um,
Oh yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. And with my private students, that's the first step that we take is, okay, you tell me what is really important in your heart for the next 4 years.
yeah,
Is the size of a school really important? Because to some people, that's very important.
sure.
Is being able to double major important? How important is budget? Is a religious aspect important? Like all
Mhm.
that kind of stuff really plays a part. So when we start down this road, I'm really considerate to all of those things. so that we don't get in a situation of like, oh, I guess I got into this school that doesn't have anything that I need. Like,
Right.
let's have 20 schools that all have what you need. So you end up somewhere where you feel very comfortable, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing for UCF too is um, you got to stay on your academics. You got to really be on top of your academics. It is getting harder by the year to even get into the university. That's one of the biggest challenges we have. This last year they brought in 6,000 new freshmen. There were 19,000 applications
Wow.
for those spots. So it's competitive. If you want to apply for UCF, you really need. They start taking applications in August. You
Wow.
really
Okay.
you really need to apply early. The sooner you apply, the quicker you'll get an answer. But it's going to be really key that you stay on top of that grade point average, on top of those SAT, ACT scores. And it's really making sure that your general ed academic grades are strong.
Yes.
It's not that
That's
you got all A's in theater. If you're getting all B's and C's in math and English, you're not going to. I will tell you at UCF, the days of a good 3.0 are long gone.
yeah.
So now really they're looking at students at 3.5 and above.
And that's
Um,
where the money is too.
that's where
Like,
the money is. Yeah.
this is what I say. Drew Boudreau is not a math and science person.
Yeah.
This side of my brain's much stronger than this side. So getting a tutor is not that expensive, especially someone who's in college who just needs some extra cash. If you can raise your GPA from like a 2.9 to a 3.4 or to a 3.5, it's not that much money. And it's going to get you several tens of thousands of dollars
Yeah.
down the road. So raise those GPAs in the classes you're not that strong in.
Yeah. And especially for students in Florida, because we have a state program called Bright Futures, and that is based on your academic strength. So a lot of our students get a lot of scholarship money through that state program because they've gotten their academic GPA up to a certain standard. So
Oh, that's cool.
so that's
Uh,
something to explore in your state, if you're, especially if you're an out-of-state student looking at Florida. Are there
right.
any kind of state programs where you can get some money as well?
Allison Kern's asking, what kind of ACT or SAT do you need?
I'm trying to remember. I think the average SAT this year, don't quote me on it, but I think it was around 1,600. The ACT scores, I'm not
Wait,
as
wait, wait.
familiar.
That would be a perfect score.
Well, now they've got the combined numbers. So,
Got it.
oh no, wait a minute. I now remember. I think the average this year was 1,350.
Okay, cool. Got it.
Was the basic score, and then let's see, they changed SAT so many everything,
I
and
know.
then there's ways that you can get extra things added onto your score and extra things, so I will just tell you, it keeps going up and up and up. One
Yes.
of the good things though that has happened at UCF, which has
Yeah.
taken a lot of years of screaming and yelling, is they used to start with the SAT score and then look at the GPA. They have now switched that mindset, thank goodness. So they start with the grade point average now, and then based on how high your grade point average, that will help with adjust of how high the SAT and the ACT. And you don't need both, you just need one or the other.
Okay. Frank
But the higher the
Cardillo,
GPA, the better off you are.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Frank Cardillo says, my time at UCF, I found the students in the department to be very close. Having attended a virtual celebration for a professor last month, it appears that has maintained all of these years. There has been a support system, student to student, as well as teacher to student, that you just can't quantify. A huge plus of the department. That speaks volumes.
Thank you for that. Yeah, it truly is. It's the reason I've stayed. It's the reason I've been here, because the people I work with and the students I get the privilege of working with has been incredible. Yes, unfortunately, one of our professors passed last month, and that coming together celebration, it was truly magnificent. It was magnificent to celebrate him and his honor, but it was an absolute incredible collection of alumni and friends and family and alumni from generations before, even when I got here. And it was such a wonderful, fantastic gathering, and so great to see, and everybody. And the continued conversations I've had with alums even after that, that, you know, people trying to catch up and stay in touch, and making contact with current students as well, and sharing experiences. I think even though it's a big department,
Yeah.
it's still an intimate department. And as a student in our department, you actually will work with every single faculty member, no matter what area they teach in, at some point in your 4 years. So you will work, because the acting faculty teach the acting classes, and then the musical theater professors teach the musical theater acting, but you'll work with the design tech students because they teach the stagecraft class. Plus, you're going to be working on shows with them. You'll work with the stage management, Claudia Lynch, who's a Broadway stage manager. You'll work with her.
I didn't know Claudia Lynch taught at your school.
Yes, Claudia Lynch is the head of our BFA stage management program.
I used to be a stage manager, so like, of course I know that name.
Yes, she's the best. She's the best. So it's a really fantastic, unique. You know, there's no separation where the acting is over here and musical theater is over here. No, that's not. We don't live that way. Everybody's all together, and everybody integrates together, and it's really, you know, we are a collaborative field. You know, we don't work solo. Solo doesn't work in theater. You know, you can try, but you won't get very far. So it is the nice thing, and it is a great sort of tight knit, intimate working relationship. You know, yes, you know, it's like every other. You know, there's always drama in the drama department, but you know, when it, you know, but it's fun dramas. That's what we live for.
right.
But you know, it's supportive and it's positive, and yeah, and then, you know, it carries on outside once you leave UCF, and the connection, and with alums and former students. And I love that. I always love it when students will just drop me a hello on Facebook or email me and say, "What's up?" You know, it's wonderful.
Gosh, I love that.
I'm glad Frank had the same experience.
Yeah, man, and I gotta say, I was a student in Frank's class when I was at Stony Brook University, and he was a professor, and he talked all about UCF when he was my teacher.
Cool.
That's what first got me turned on to UCF.
I love it. I love it.
Allison wants to know, are you test optional this year?
No, unfortunately. We tried to lobby them to do that, but the decision was made not to do that. So yeah, because we actually had a few students who had auditioned for our program who had chosen to do test optional, and UCF didn't go that way. So
got it.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, Earl, I do want to say to everybody watching, hey, UCF is one of the more affordable options with awesome training. And we're going to be doing more of this on next Friday, on April the 9th. I'm going to be doing the 10 most affordable best training programs that you have never heard of right here on Facebook. So do not miss that. I always say the two most important things about a program are, do you love it and can you afford it? You don't want to go broke paying for great training, but you also don't want to compromise your time there. So be here next Friday for the 10 most affordable programs. And it's April 2nd, but for, I'll say one more day, I'm going to extend the 2-for-1 pricing for the summer intensive, which happens this summer in Orange County. We have 10 schools that are going to be there. Jessica Vosk is going to be doing a Broadway masterclass, mock audition with some of me and my surprise Broadway pals. And guess what? Disneyland's gonna be open by the time that you get there. So if you want more info about the summer intensive, it's just gonna be awesome. So you have one more day to take advantage of the half price offer. Earl, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate your time greatly. And
my pleasure. Thank you.
I'm going to drop your email in the chat. So if people want to get more information from you, they can do that way.
Absolutely. And you can also find me on the website too.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Earl. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.